when a kind of growth really truly starts? Is there kind of a crossover, you would say, from a healing period to a
Yeah.
growth period?
Yeah, you get growth out of that. Ultimately, then the growth starts to happen too, because like you have a whole total mind shift. Right there. It takes a lot of courage to be able to just say, hey, let's be honest here. There's something that's not completely right. There's something that's not completely in my control, and maybe I need to lose control. So it takes a mature mindset to be able to constantly accept that and surrender and humble yourself. Um, you know, so and then once you go back and you fill in that hole, you can start building upon just the people, those who are in cyber world, those who are just stumbling across this wonderful podcast, whether that be video format or audio format. We thank you. We are happy to have you. This is a Transform Your Live show. I got my good friend, of course, Paul, with me, and I am Marcus. Paul, uh, we were discussing before we hit the record button about there was an interview I watched, and I won't get too much into detail about the interview, but I the guest spoke of like you know uh, the importance of like uh, growth work and also healing work. A lot of times we get the two confused, and we think that or maybe we're not conscious of it at all. We just want to work on it on ourselves, and at some point we say that, yeah, when do we become healed? When are we fully whole? When have I achieved this mastery that everyone's talking about? And so you have to be able to know, when you are walking your path and when you are on this journey and when you are working with someone, whether that be one-on-one in therapy, whether it be in group coaching, or whether that be just ad- adopting different things from different mentors around the world, however you begin to do the work, uh, knowing the distinction between growth and healing.
Yeah, Marcus, when you mentioned about the topic, just on the other side here, it kind of came out of the blue, thinking, yeah, you're right. I never really thought about it this way. When you've got the growth, everyone thinks that personal growth, and I suppose from my point of view, growth is kind of a forward-thinking thing, whereas healing, you're kind of looking back in the past about something that's happened to you, and you're making it better. It could be something physical like a broken arm, or something you need to heal this, or it could be something kind of more in your personality, or your mental kind of health. So well, it does make you think about when you do talk about, you're working on yourself, you want to do this self-improvement. um what are you actually like trying to improve? Are you trying to improve something that's been broken, or are you looking to the future to, as you said, to try and grow something? So yeah, so it's a really interesting one, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we go with this one.
Yeah, I like the two dynamics you brought that you added to these two huge things with like growth and healing. You mentioned spiritual growth as the forward way of thinking, and then healing as that looking back, looking uh, at what you may have to just revisit and and put in the present now to kind of like fix um, and maybe I shouldn't use the word fix because you know you normally you don't need to be fixed as a broken person. We all are broken in some ways, but maybe even not looking at it as we are broken people, but as just what is the lesson that we need to get from that past, and and be able to um, to not look at it negatively and not judge it uh, or not let it cause us to move forward, to add those enhancements that that growth gives us, which is so important.
Yeah, really interesting, and yeah, I like the way you kind of spoke about fixing yourself and things like this, and you're totally right. It's not talking about fixing yourself or anything. You just need to understand what's happened, and maybe you don't need to fix it, maybe you don't need to heal from it, but if you can, as you said, learn from it, I think that's a real kind of big positive you can take away. So yeah, it's real interesting to think kind of in a more spiritual kind of way here that if we're healing from something spiritually, does that allow us to actually grow, or how much you heal, does that kind of have a knock-on effect to how fast or how strong you can grow in the future? So what do you think about that? Do you think that if you don't heal properly, then you can't grow as strong as you would, or what's your kind of thoughts?
I I really believe, and I personally have experienced this too. Uh, I think that once find yourself getting to the next level, we like to
Mhm.
call these things the next level, and then there's something that maybe you have not really worked on, uh, and and you, and you maybe you as soon as you get to whatever it is that you set yourself to move forward on, you'll find yourself kind of stuck, and you might find yourself kind of feeling like you don't deserve it, and that feeling of not deserving, that feeling, that insecure feeling, um ultimately is that big fear, that big fear that's lingering from whatever you haven't worked on before. So it can be very important as you move up, as they call it, move up in life,
Mhm.
and as you are making those enhancements, uh, that you are, like, at the same time, like, finding ways to kind of uh, work with, like, some of those things that scared you, that still that you
Mhm.
may not admit it, but they ultimately scare you.
Yeah, this is really resonating with me today, Marcus. I'm trying to think about when if I kind of made a conscious decision to kind of work on myself, or look back and look at things that maybe in the past you've kind of just gone, I don't need to worry about that anymore. I just keep moving forward, and as you said, these things may come back to haunt you one day when you don't expect it. So it's a
Yeah.
real interesting one to think about, you know, as you said, moving on to these levels, these higher levels, whichever way you want to put it. But where's the starting block? Where do you actually, say to yourself, right, Paul, I need to do this, or maybe take a step back and think about doing this. So even for our listeners out there, Marcus, how would you kind of help these people through, this realization that maybe it's a chance now to reflect, to heal, and then ultimately to grow.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing, especially with, there's a lot of we see a lot of CEOs that go through this, a lot of we got see a lot of celebrities that go through this,
Mm.
uh you know this, when we see, like, the blanket success, you know the the things that's, like, so external, and everything's happening so fast, it's happening, like, boom, boom, boom. It's great,
Mhm.
but one thing about the spirit is always quite honest. We got to quite the spirit is quite pure, and it's always going to give us that indicator that, like, hey, uh yeah, it's great what we have accomplished here, but let's take a quick break. Let's slow it down a bit, and the best way to do that is just to start asking yourself, like, okay, uh what is it that I have not you know addressed in a long time? what is it in a part of my past, or what relationship that maybe I haven't forgave myself for, because like, so a lot of times we waiting around for somebody else to to give us the apologies, but sometimes, like, we got to be very honest, and look at the different situations that we have stepped out of, and say like, well, I was also there in those situations, and the best way uh, to really get some honesty out of all of these is to first, start forgiving myself for, to being a participant in those situations.
Yeah, that's really strong. And yeah, I can, when you started saying about celebrities and, even, athletes, they kind of go through these stages where, you see them from afar, you think, wow, their life is amazing. They're achieving this, they've won this, they've got that. And then, the week later, you're reading in the newspaper or seeing it online that, they've kind of just come crashing down to earth. And I suppose, if this happens to celebrities or people who we kind of idolize and think, well, their life is
Mm.
perfect, then it can happen to an everyday person like myself. So
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you don't have to be super rich, or ultra talented. Because we all talented in our own ways, and we all got something to contribute to this earth, to this realm that we all are kind of locked in right now. And the more we experience it, uh, the more we realize that, like, hey, there's something much bigger than just what I see every day. There's something, kind of invisible that's happening even within myself, and so we have to retreat. When whenever we kind of like getting that spiritual warning, like, that, like, hey, maybe I need to pull back a little bit, and start, like, filling in those holes, and not necessarily rely on, like, the physical, to physically fill those holes for me, because, like, what happens when you stuff yourself with junk food.
yeah, definitely, yeah. True, true,
Yeah.
true. So yeah, Marcus, I can really see that, we're talking a lot here about kind of healing, that healing process, and as you're saying, like taking that step back and really kind of just, taking stock of what's going on in your life, and, as you mentioned before, understanding that things that may have happened in the past you're part of, if you can kind of own it for a lack of a better word there. And then I suppose this is when a kind of growth really truly starts. Is there kind of a crossover, you would say, from a healing period to a growth period?
Yeah, you get growth out of that. Ultimately, then the growth starts to happen too, because like, you have a whole total mind shift. Right there. It takes a lot of courage, to be able to just say, hey, let's be honest here. There's something that's not completely, right. There's something that's not completely in my control, and maybe I need to lose control. So it takes, a mature mindset to be able to consciously, accept that, and surrender, and humble yourself. Um, you know, so, and then once you go back and you fill in that hole, you can start, building upon, just the fact that, like, you were able to, yeah, surrender control, but also, take control too. It's real funny duality there.
Mm.
You surrender control, but you got control of your life to be able to make those decisions, to be able to, um, take part in the blessing of free will.
Mm. Yeah, and as you said there, it's a weird one to think about. If you're just given up control of what your thoughts are, but then you're taking kind of control of the forward journey where you're going to be moving on to next. So I think that's a real strong one to think about.
Yeah, and that's all growth really is all about. It's just like choices, getting better at choices.
Mm.
And and then the healing part is just like the total opposite of that. Like, taking stopping to, stopping to taking a break from making choices. and just letting the choices be, chosen for you to, to really take an honest inventory of like all of the choices you already done made. uh, and even if you feel like you didn't make the choice to for some of those things that has happened to you in your life, and we all feel that way. It's like, I didn't choose to, like, to lose a bunch of money at the casino, or or like, I'm using some that actually happened to me, but uh, years back, this is years back when I had a
Mm,
real bad gambling addiction. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was the casino's fault. I mean, these silly things, but when you look at it, it's like, okay, let's take a step back from not making any choices, and allow for the healing to happen, and allow for just the answers to come in about these situations. And then sometimes they might not come right away, and then you got a choice after that to start building upon, just that time away.
yeah, true. And I love what you said there about that an honest inventory. I think that's a real interesting one to think about. If you just, as you do, as you said, take a step back, think about your life, really, and kind of decisions you've made, and then as you said, maybe it's easier, or it's a way to heal yourself, that if you let these kind of things happen to you, you're not going to make these choices. Let these choices happen and see how things work. And yes, it'll be a real interesting one to think about how life could be a little bit different if you do start to understand that there is a different way of thinking, a different way of doing things. You're not just always on the go making decisions, making the wrong decisions. If you can take that step back and really think about, is this a good thing I should be doing? How's it going to, impact my future? Um, it's a real interesting one.
Yeah, 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 and one more last thing to add about is, with the healing work, it's just the energy, the different energy that's going to change.
Mm,
Because especially if it was a bad experience, like, you definitely want to look at how you can move that energy, differently, when it's the way you feel in your body, so because sometimes, like, we feel so, my God, we feel so pressed down. We feel so uh defenseless against, like, this negative energy,
mm,
that we get from the event, or whatever it is, and we need to figure out a way to, like, kind of move that differently, or move it away, um or even, like, find a way to, like, use it as new energy. And so, that's where meditation come in at. That's where prayer come in at. That's where, connecting with other people who, has similar situations
mhm,
come in at, to, get really start moving that energy
mhm,
differently. And that's the healing work there. And um and and then just with growth work, you know just again, just the choices you make, and staying motivated in those choices, to develop a better you, to get your work done, get your mission accomplished that year.
mhm. Definitely, definitely. And what you said there about the energy and kind of changing the energy, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, trying different things that are really going to help you for the future. I think that's a real strong one. And yeah, definitely. I can imagine once the healing work's done, once you've realised, what needs to be changed, how you can change the way you think, the way you feel, kind of see the future. It's real positive energy you can put into that growth, because as we all know, if you want to grow something, you need to add some type of energy source to it. And if you're putting the right energy into there, you're going to do a lot better. And as you mentioned, if you're filling your body with fast food, it's not going to be a good energy source for you. But if you're,
Yeah,
giving yourself good nutrients, then for the long term, your health and everything is going to be, a lot stronger, and hopefully a lot longer.
yeah, I like the plant, just add water.
There
But
you go.
it's just more than just adding water, though.
Yeah,
You need,
yeah.
you need,
Trust me,
you
there
need
is.
sun, you need sunlight, and you need somebody to sing to you.
That's not me.
Yeah, so that always makes a difference.
Yeah.
So, uh, so yeah, so this is about it. That we want to give to you guys today. Um, we definitely invite you guys to drop your thoughts, drop your comments about about the conversation and how you feel about healing, and how you feel about um, just growth work. So if and what type of healing you're doing. What's your methods of healing. What are you doing for growth? So we want to hear about it. So, and if you don't want to put it out there in comment sections, send it to the network's email address at media@transformu.us. So we're doing a little something different today. So media@transformu.us, or direct message us on IG at Transform You Live Show. That's Transform You Live Show, and we'll be sure to just acknowledge you, and send you good blessings. And Paul's on IG now, so, so
Yeah, did you see that?
yeah. So Paul, I'll let you do the final closing to close on up.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Marcus. So, as you said there, it's been a really interesting episode today, and yeah, it would be great to when we get feedback from our listeners out there. It's really interesting to see what other people think as well. So please, do email, drop us a DM and something, and yeah, it'd be nice to hear what other people think, especially about the healing and growth. So real good, real good. But yeah, on behalf of Marcus and I, this has been a Transform You Live show, the only show where you can make real life and business transformation. As you know, my name's Paul Graves with my co-host Marcus Hart. We are done and we are dusted.